Hello and welcome to another edition of ProtoBalls Talk. I'm ProtoMet.
This is my recycled balls.
And today we're going to be raiding some tombs. Today we're going to be talking about Tomb Raider.
No. Wrong series.
Oh.
The other raiding series.
Oh, right. Space Invaders.
No.
No, today we're doing Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first Indiana Jones movie.
I think they would have gotten that by the fact that the poster and the title is up there.
You shut your whore mouth.
No. Alright, so yes, Raiders of the Lost Ark, also known as Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, after Temple of Doom came out.
I still prefer the original title.
Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark is kind of a better title. 1981 action-adventure film, directed by Steven Spielberg, and written by a certain person named Lawrence Kasdan. He might come up again in this review series.
This movie was intended to be a somewhat callback to the old action serials that would sometimes be screened in theaters before other movies.
In the 30s and 40s, yes.
Right.
This is a George Lucas film of LucasArts, or Lucasfilm, not LucasArts.
Yeah, LucasArts was a different company. Still run by the same guy, though.
Yes. Right.
Rest in peace.
On June 12th, 1981, and it stars, by that point, already a massive star in his own right, Harrison Ford. But this was sort of his breakout film following his role in Star Wars. Although I suppose you can consider American Graffiti his breakout role, but that one was
that is the earliest film I know him from, but
yeah,
that's only because that was mentioned in the making of Star Wars special.
Yeah. That was also George Lucas's first film, I believe. I think that was his first film.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, starring
or Harrison Ford and some other people.
Karen Allen, Paul Freeman, Ronald Lacey, and Denham Elliott. Denham Elliott's also famous for his role in this. And John Rhys Davies.
Yay.
Oh, baby. Like the best classical actor here.
Oh, yeah.
Like what I mean by that is Harrison Ford's like the best actor in this film, but John Rhys Davies is the best classical actor. He's like the best classically trained actor.
This is true. I just listening to him, you can tell that that's the kind of background.
Dude was Man Ray in SpongeBob SquarePants.
That makes too much sense.
Yes, yes it does. Ah, man, he's great. And he's also in a bunch of other films, but yeah. So I suppose we better get into the movie then. But yeah, this was right off the success of. This was right 2 years after Revenge. Was it
Return of the Jedi?
No, not Return of the Jedi.
Empire Strikes Back?
Empire Strikes Back, yes. I almost said Revenge of the Sith and I caught myself.
That's why I was assuming that you were thinking of...
No, not Return. No, yeah. This was 2 years after Empire Strikes Back, and I believe a couple of months before
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. My God, I'm tired. So, yeah. So this was sort of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg's attempt at making another big series after Star Wars was such a big hit.
An action movie rather than a sci-fi.
Yeah, or an space opera as they called it.
Well, makes sense.
So
we're just a bit tired. I was taken off guard. I was in the middle of something before this, but
I called him in here and I was like, I grabbed him by the neck and I said, "Damn it, we're doing this!" Oh, you're...
And then I had to steal my neck back and put it back in place because my head needs something to sit on.
Because, dude...
I was like, okay, fine, we'll do this.
Because, dude, uncool.
Yeah, not cool.
So the movie starts in the Amazon rainforest of Southern America, I believe.
No, South America, not Southern America.
Southern America.
Completely different region.
Southern South America.
There we go.
Ah.
Even though I think the Amazon rainforest is in kind of the
northern South America. Dude, okay.
Kind of on the east side.
Okay, let's be honest. South America and people listening from South America, although I doubt that highly.
It's possible.
Maybe from Venezuela or someplace. And even then, I think they'd be offended to be watching this. Because, Nazis.
Anyway, move on. They're the bad guys. It's okay.
Yeah, they're the bad guys in this movie. Spoiler alert. Not much of one. Mind you, they're not the main baddies. But, yeah, South America is like 2 regions. It's Amazon rainforest and mountains. And then you got Latin America, which is really just sort of its own region. Just like, this is like the Caribbean. This is Central America.
The views of my partner do not necessarily reflect my views. I'm no geologist, so I can't debunk it. But I'm pretty sure there's more regions there because, Brazil and Rio.
The Amazon rainforest takes up most of Brazil.
I'm gonna steal your eyeball.
Ah, no.
Anyway, South America. We got some explorers going into a temple hidden in the undergrowth and encountering a number of traps along the way. Not all of them managed to survive, but our lead hero, Indiana Jones, he does manage to survive. And he manages to find his way into the temple and find the idol, getting past all the traps. And he uses a bag full of sand to try and trick the weight sensor, which, gonna get to that real soon. Doesn't quite work. Yeah. They get to, he's forced to toss the idol over to his partner, who just books it, leaving behind.
Yeah.
Because it's so nice to have loyal co-adventurers.
Then again, really, they're just like trail guys.
There's Giant Boulder. It's crazy.
He kind of skipped. He kind of sort of summarized the opening sequence.
And now the part where I get to rant a little bit. And for the record, I'm not really mad about this.
Oh my god. This is why he summarized it very quickly. But no, what actually happens is Indiana Jones is reading a map, and one of the trail guides decides, I'm gonna kill this guy so we can get out of here safely. And he pulls out his gun, and Indiana uses his whip. Yes, his whip, the most famous of Indiana Jones's equipment.
To whip the gun out of the guy's hand.
Whip the gun out of the guy's hand, and that guy books it. And so they make it inside, and they get through the traps. One of the traps is very important because it's a light triggered trap. And before you start your rant on that, Indiana activates it with his hand out of harm's way, and we're introduced to one of Indiana Jones's buddies, Forrestal, who's dead and on the spikes and has been rotting for months. And Indiana Jones acknowledges, so that's what happened to him. That's unfortunate. Oh well, keep moving on. We got to get that treasure. As you can see, Indiana Jones doesn't give a shit.
Nope. They get to some blow dart traps, a huge hole in the ground. pressure-sensitive floor plates, which are the ones with the blow traps.
Yes, blow darts.
Blow dart
Which,
traps.
that one is possible.
Fair point. For a little spoiler for my little tiny, not too serious rant.
This guy is an idiot.
But yeah, he gets to the idol, swaps it out for a bag of sand, doesn't quite work, has to book it. Boulder shows up, chasing him down. We get the idol tossing in, the loyal partner just booking it, leaving behind, and all that. So
and he gets caught in the trap too. He gets caught in the dark in the light trap.
Yeah, 'cause apparently he forgot that trap existed.
Yeah.
So, mini rant, and this is in no way meant to be me seriously complaining about this, but what is it with ancient civilizations and creating self-destructing temples full of high-tech traps that would be difficult to replicate even in the modern day?
I have only one answer for that. A wizard did it.
Okay.
Yes, I see.
You can tell how vehemently I was willing to rant about this, given it just happens so many times in movies. It's like, why do they have such advanced trap technology? What the heck?
It's sort of hand waved off, just like it's ancient civilization technology mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone.
It's like technobabble. Just like, don't think about it. It's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to be interesting. But yeah, giant boulder. Indy does manage to escape with his hat, his whip. He doesn't lose his hat. I thought he did lose his hat, but no, it was the whip, not the hat. I'm rambling. This doesn't make any sense. Bye.
So Indiana makes it out of the temple. And he's covered in cobwebs and gunk and shit.
Oh, there was one moment when they enter the temple.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Indy's loyal partner informs him that there are a bunch of tarantulas on his back. And he has to get them off. And then he has a buddy turn around and he has even more tarantulas on his back.
And Indiana just casually alright, get him out of here. And, like, with no fucks given.
It's like, not this shit again.
Yeah.
But he manages to make it out of the temple in one piece. And then he's met by the locals, who have him at spear and arrow point.
And another white dude.
Rene Belloc.
A Frenchie, the most dangerous of villains. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say dangerous? I meant the most cowardly of villains.
Which makes him dangerous.
Oh ho ho!
But yeah, no, Belloc is Indy's rival, and he because he knows how to speak the local language.
He knows how to speak Jovitos.
He manages to convince the locals that Indy is trying to steal their treasure, and cuts them off before making off with the treasure for himself.
The people's name are the Jovito, and in plural they're Jovitos. And their language is Jovitos. There you go.
That's why you get that's why you make the big bucks in your archaeology classes.
Yeah.
That's a complete lie. You don't.
I don't get any money. I'm not a college professor.
Though Indy does manage to escape, he has to hand the idol over to Belloc.
So Belloc is basically like Indy times... Indy
with the smugness level ramped up.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, Indy's fairly smug, but Belloc.
Okay, so this comparison won't make sense to viewers. To right now, it won't make sense. But this is Indy at the beginning of Temple of Doom. That's what Belloc is. Belloc is Indy at the beginning of Temple of Doom. So
I have nothing to say because I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, well, okay. I should have figured as much, but basically selfish and only in it for the glory. He's in it for the glory of getting these artifacts and showing them off and being like, "Ah, I am the greatest archaeologist of all time," or otherwise known as the greatest grave robber of all time.
Shut your whore mouth.
Yeah, I'm sorry. These are facts.
It is facts, but shut your whore mouth. That's how you know that you've made a biting fact statement.
Yeah. When somebody tells you to shut your whore mouth, you know you've won the debate. So yeah, Belloc is basically the worst version of Indy.
But Indy does manage to escape from the Jovitos and rushes.
Jacques! Get the plane started! And there's Jacques on his water plane.
And here's an issue I had. The plane that Jacques pilots in this movie, and he's really only here for this one seat. It's a 2-seater. Where were the other 2 guys that were with Indy going to sit?
I hand waved it away as they're tour guides, or they're trail guides. Basically, Indy hired 2 of the locals to lead them.
Okay.
So they're
okay. It's a decent hand wave. I will admit.
Yeah. Jacques, get the plane started, and there's Indy running down the hill as the whole video.
And his pilot's just kind of fishing, and it's like, come on. So pack up his fishing gear.
It's a great scene because there's Indy running down the hill, and then from behind the hill rise just like 100,000 people barreling towards him. There's Indy. Oh my God!
I don't think there were that many, but
there were a lot.
It was an impressive lot.
And Jacques there fishing on the plane, and he's like, "Get the plane started!" And Jacques fishing, and he's caught something, and he's like, "Ah, shit! Do I catch this or do I start? I'm gonna start the plane." And he just throws his rod into the water, figuring he could probably just buy another one with the money that Indy gets him.
Yeah. He gets the plane started. Indy manages to get aboard, and that's when he finds another pitfall that he has to encounter. Jacques' pet snake.
Yeah. I hate snakes, Jacques. I hate them.
And Jacques is laughing it off.
Grow a little backbone, will ya?
But they manage to make it to safety. But unfortunately, don't get the idol. So the thing's a bit of a wash.
Yeah.
We then flash forward to a little bit after that, and Indy is teaching an archaeology class at a university.
This is one of the weirdest scenes, just because one of the students never explains why, and I don't know why.
I think this how the scene plays out does a decent job of explaining why.
Apparently, all the girls like him.
I think that's just part of his charming character.
That he's a womanizer?
I'm not saying that he's a womanizer. I'm just saying that the female students find him attractive. Whether he reciprocates that or not. That is not something that is exclusive to this movie. There are plenty of examples of this.
So one of the students blinked, and underneath her eyelids...
Love you.
Are the words "love you," and Indy's like, right, back to teaching, because he sees it and he's trying to figure out what it says.
He's trying to process it. It's like,
right, this chamber.
Like I said, this is not a trope that's exclusive to this movie. This trope has existed.
The hot teacher, yeah.
Yeah.
Cue.
And that's the entire point of it.
Cue the police.
Yeah.
Cue the police don't stand so close to me.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyways, so Marcus Brody comes in, and he's one of the heads of the local museum. I can't remember which museum. I don't think it's Yale. I don't think it's
Harvard?
No, not Harvard.
Princeton?
It's one of the Ivy League schools. I can't remember which one.
But yeah, he's the guy who funded Indy's trip to South America, which did not go as well as it could have. But
class is dismissed, and Indy's like, "I had it, Marcus. I had it. You want to know what happened? I got a few guesses. Fell off. Well, that's all right. I'm sure the pieces you have now will go to the museum. They'll buy it, no questions asked." Basically telling the audience that, yeah, Indy has done this before.
This is set in 1936, I feel I should mention.
Yeah.
So, that whole situation was still a bit of a quagmire with regards to,
Not that quagmire.
Oh.
The noun quagmire. Yeah.
Giggity.
Giggity.
No, not that quagmire. Like a figure, the literal type of quagmire. Well, I guess technically it's figurative, but it's more literal than Quagmire's quagmire. And now I'm thinking of Quagmire's quagmire. God damn it!
For shame.
No, the more like antiquities and museums and all that.
Yeah.
That kind of cultural appropriation, I suppose we can call it. But if not for that, this movie wouldn't have a premise. So, but
So Marcus, it's like, well, enough about that, Indy. We've got some friendly fellows here to talk to you.
friendly fellows.
Friendly fellows? What? What are you talking about?
It's government guys asking about stuff.
What does the government want with me? Well, you're famous, Indy. You know. Yeah, the government, the two government officials, basically say, yeah, we hear you're an excellent acquirer of ancient artifacts and whatnot. So they whatnot. So they ask about a man named Abner Ravenwood, and Indy recognizes that name.
It's a name he hasn't heard in a long time.
Abner Ravenwood, I haven't seen him in 10, 15 years.
I think it's pretty confident he says 10.
Yeah. 10, I haven't...
Like a decade.
I haven't seen him in 10 years. What do you want with him?
Well, they reveal that after decoding some Nazi communiques, his name came up.
Some Nazis!
And something about a medallion or something.
And something about a dig site at Iskandaria.
Something about Ark of the Covenant.
The Lost Ark. And during all this, Indy and Marcus are looking at each other like, whoa, wait a minute. What?
What?
Oh, is this real?
The government agents, they don't really know what exactly they're talking about. They just are relaying the information that they know. And Indy and Marcus, clearly they know what the guys are talking about.
They're getting visibly excited.
And they do go into Indy especially goes into a whole explanation about the Ark of the Covenant, what it is, where it's purported to be, and all this spiel and how powerful it was, according to rumors.
Yep.
The legends.
So the legend says.
And I love that the government guys are basically the audience surrogates in this, because since they don't know what they're talking about, it allows India to explain to the audience the significance of this information. Yeah. It's a lot of info dump, but it's done in a good way.
So yeah,
I mean, it could have been far worse. It could have been the start of the movie, and the characters like, "Hey, Indiana Jones, expert archaeologist and treasure hunter, what are you doing here?"
What?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I missed that conversation. I missed your whole spiel.
Oh, sorry. Let me start from the beginning. Indiana Jones, expert archaeologist and treasure hunter. What are you doing here?
What the fuck?
Intro dumps.
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times. For Transformers does that for like a couple pages. It's crazy.
In the year 2525, if man is still alive. Don't tell. I mean, it's a song.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this scene is definitely a tell, but it does a bit of showing. But it's a lot of information that's very nicely compressed so the audience can understand what's going on and why it's significant and why they should care.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's basically the introduction for the MacGuffin of the movie.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, I don't know how you don't know, because I'm sure half the people listening have had this drilled into their heads since childhood. The Ark of the Covenant is a golden box, golden rectangular box, giant crate, more like it, a golden crate.
When Moses went up to the mountain and came back with the commandments, after he got done telling everybody the commandments and threw the stones onto the ground to just break
behold,
them.
I have 15!
10
new commandments!
History of the World Part 1.
Yeah. Did we ever get a Part 2?
There wasn't supposed to be a Part 2.
Dang.
That was the whole point.
Dang. I know what Part 2 is. It's going to be all about 2020. Oh, no.
But, after Moses came down, decreed the Ten Commandments, and then tossed the tablet
to the Jewish people who had,
and then tossed the stones to the ground to destroy them. The people took the remains of the Ten Commandments and put them in this golden box.
Yep. Covered it up, and God strictly instructed them not to touch the box, or they would die. It's actually written in the Bible that a man accidentally touched it, and he was struck down where he stood. And Moses was not happy about that. He's like, dude, what the fuck? He accidentally touched it. I told you, don't touch it, bruh.
Apparently, they brought it with them in wartime.
Which is not true at all, actually. In the Bible, anytime they brought the Ark with them, they suffered a humiliating defeat. 10,000 chariots, let's not forget.
But let's ignore that, because this story is a lot more interesting. It basically would be like God beams shooting out and attacking people.
Pretty much.
Was basically what was going on.
Yeah.
But Indy, no, he doesn't believe in that superstitious stuff. Cue the events of the next two movies that take place before this one.
And after.
This
is basically Indy's come to Jesus movie. Whereas the previous.
We're hearing a weird honking or something.
That's probably.
It's probably not being picked up by the microphone. It's just really distracting to us because it's very faint, but there. It's really weird.
Siren.
Which siren?
The Siren.
Oh, the siren from Siren?
Yeah.
I barely played that game. When I did, it was only a demo.
It's a good game.
Okay. Did get a sequel.
Good quality horror game. But no, we're getting off track. So, Indy basically but back to my little sidetrack here. This is basically Indy's come to Jesus movie. I think Temple of Doom is more about Indy changing for the better as a person. And this is more Indy finding faith.
Okay.
So.
Anyway.
But Indy basically tells the government people, any army that wields the Ark is the most powerful is the most powerful army on the face of the earth.
Or so the legends say.
So the legends say. I don't believe in that legend. And so Marcus goes over to Indy's house to tell him, yeah, they want you to go look. They want you to go for it. Go find Abner. Yay.
So Indy goes to Tibet to try and find Abner.
But there's a funny little scene where Marcus is like, the search for the Ark is the search for the divine. It's not something to take lightly, you know. And Indy's like, Marcus, what are you trying to do? Scare me? You know I don't believe any of that superstitious mumbo jumbo. After all, you know the kind of careful guy I am. Immediately proceeds to toss his revolver into his briefcase, like an idiot, because that is totally safe. So it goes to Tibet.
I thought that was just to reveal that he's willing to pack heat.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a funny joke. Goes to Tibet. Why Tibet? We'll find
That's the last place he recalls encountering Abner. So
we cut to a scene in a bar. We can get a nice little bar scene.
we got a clearly American large dude.
This dude looks like fucking Harley Race without the beard.
I have no idea who that is.
Hold on. I'll give you a picture, but you go on.
And another woman. And they are having a drinking contest. And she wins.
Handily.
Like everybody around who's taking bets, okay.
Yeah. Looks almost exact, doesn't it?
How certain are we that it wasn't him in that movie?
It definitely wasn't him, because a Harley Race wouldn't be in a movie.
I wouldn't know.
He was the world champion at the time. So
Yeah,
he
the people taking bets almost think that she loses, but she wins. She wins. She proves
the guy takes another drink and he's like,
and just passes out next to the guy.
I noticed I had a question. I'm like, what the fuck are these cowboys doing here in Tibet? There's like literal, honest to God, fucking cowboy looking motherfuckers in this bar in Tibet.
It's a bar.
That's his only hand waving motion that he can make. It's a bar.
It's a bar. So, of course, this woman, Marion, has to close up bar because it's closing time. But after everybody's left, she gets a visitor. Indy. Because, as it turns out, this woman is Marion Ravencroft, the daughter
Ravenwood.
of Ravenwood.
Ravencroft is at another movie.
Yes, it is. You can understand my confusion.
And it's not Marion, it's Sarah Ravencroft.
The character in this movie is Marion Ravenwood.
Yes.
I got confused with a Ravencroft who is from another movie.
We'll get to that movie.
We'll get to that movie soon enough for anybody who's figured it out just from the context clues. But Marion Ravenwood
is the daughter of Abner.
And it turns out she's the reason why Indy hasn't spoken with Abner in 10 years. Because 10 years...
I was a child and you knew what you were doing. Oh! It's so much worse It's so much worse in context as well as out of context.
I will come to Indy's defense at least somewhat. I actually looked up the dates of when the two characters were born, and
oh yes, tell us.
She was 17, maybe 18. If we're being a bit generous with the whole 10 years being a rounding up situation.
Yeah. This is also what this movie's about. It's about Indy coming to terms with the fact that he's kind of a horrible person and trying to better himself.
I think this movie was just meant to be a fun action movie, not anything totally that deep.
Not really, no. Okay, it becomes that when you watch all the movies in chronological order.
Okay.
It makes a
But
lot.
as it's on its own.
On its own, it's just Andy's a pedophile. Not really, but you know.
No comment.
Harrison Ford played the pedo.
But
Which
anyway,
he
she is upset at Indy for leaving her.
Yep.
And she wants nothing to do with him, even though he is willing to pay her money for the medallion, which she claims to not know where it is. He even puts money in her hand and tells her that there's going to be more. But she tells him to get lost.
Get lost. I'll think about it.
And after he leaves,
another group of people come in.
well, first we learn that she knows exactly where the medallion is.
It's right in her. It's right in her hand.
It's right around her neck.
Right in her hand.
And as she's thinking about it, she takes it off and sets it on a table, and then she gets some more visitors.
Guten Tag, Herr Fräulein. Totes. Like the best character in the movie.
I'm not going to disagree with that. Like, he doesn't do a whole lot in this movie, but damn if he doesn't leave an impression.
Arnold Ernst Todt is his name.
But damn if he doesn't leave an impression.
Played by Ronald Lacey. 28th of September 1935, 15th of May 1991. That sucks. That's unfortunate.
Anyway.
Yeah, he's the best. Like, he's so unabashedly a Nazi.
It's like the only thing that might give a bit of vagueness as to whether or not he's a Nazi is the fact that he's just not decked out in the SS uniform.
Yeah, but he's dressed in all black. By the way, the last name Todt, I'm pretty sure it means death. So, you know, for the German listeners, that should be even more of a clue. By the way, this movie can be aired in Germany.
Okay.
Because of certain, how do I put it? Because of certain legal proceedings, it falls under fair use in Germany, because it's not played as propaganda for the Nazi Party.
Okay.
So, but like Schindler's List wouldn't fly in Germany, because that could be construed as propaganda. This, on the other hand, could not, because I'm not going to spoil much, but the Nazis are kind of bumbling idiots in this movie.
Incredibly well organized bumbling idiots.
Yeah, incredibly organized bumbling idiots, but bumbling idiots, as shown later in this scene. So Todt, yeah. So you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Spielberg made the Nazis look like idiots in this movie.
In this movie. In Schindler's List, that was another matter entirely. It just now dawned on me that he has made at least 2 movies that have had Nazis in
3.
them. What's the third one?
Last Crusade.
Okay, not counting that.
Okay.
I said at least.
Okay.
At least 2.
Okay.
I couldn't remember if they were in that or not. That's why I didn't want to say a definite, but yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely in it.
But yeah, no, he and a couple of his associates have come to ask about the medallion. Except they're not so much willing to pay so much as they're willing to do other things to get the information. Which is kind of funny, considering that the medallion is just sitting on a table right nearby and nobody notices.
Yep. So Marion's just so Toad's basically like it's in your best interest to tell us where it is.
As he holds a red hot poker.
Yeah, I'll let you know tomorrow. And then they grab her and hold her down, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll tell you anything you want. And Toad is just like, oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you. This dude takes so much delight in just preparing to torture people.
And then Indy swoops in to help save the day. Kind of.
And then we get what every movie that has a bar in it needs. A bar fight!
Sonic the Hedgehog had one. He started that bar fight too. That was on his bucket list.
Okay. Why? Okay. So
you really need to see that movie.
So Indy and Marion fight off the dregs that Toad had hired.
The table that has the medallion gets knocked over. A fire starts. Fires keep starting all over the place. Toad at one point does see a medallion with fire around it.
Before that, there's a funny little scene where Indy and another stooge are fighting one another, and Toad's just like, kill them both, to one of his other guys, and Indy and the stooge both look, and they're like, dude, what the fuck? So uncool.
There's one point where Indy is bent over the bar.
Whiskey.
He asks Marion for whiskey. She hands him the bottle. He smashes it over the guy's head.
Yeah. But yeah, Toad sees the medallion.
He's
the
like,
amulet.
woo, gimme! Ah! Because that medallion...
Jesus, man.
It's not inaccurate, is it?
I guess not. Well, he grabs it, and there's like a 1 second delay. And and he drops it and runs out the fucking window.
Because he didn't realize.
And there you go. That's why that's the portrayal of the Nazis.
He didn't realize that medallion had been heated up by the fire that's still smoldering around it. Like, he just automatically assumed that thing was cool as a freezer.
It's like negative 40 degrees out. It'll be fine. Fucking guy burns his hand.
It's not like this thing is actively on fire, and now my hand is.
Yeah, so he jumps out the window, and outside in the snow, he's like, oh, God damn it! Oh, he's so good.
Stick a pin in that.
Yep. That actually is important.
But ultimately, Indy and Marion managed to drive off the two dudes.
They basically kill everybody.
They kill everybody who didn't manage to escape. All one of him.
Yeah. And so Marion's like, where the fuck you going? And he's like, I'm going to Egypt. Not without me. I'm your goddamn partner.
And she wisely picks up the medallion with like a cloth so that she's not directly touching the damn thing.
Although I'm not really sure how much good that would do, but that's...
It's better than just using her hand. Besides, I think it was like folded up cloth.
Yeah.
Adding layers.
Okay. So, we're at Egypt.
Yep, that happened.
Where were we?
They just teleported to Egypt. No.
They fly to Egypt.
Of course they do.
And they're there. And they meet a man by the name of Salah. John Rhys Davies, baby!
Woo! Best character in the whole movie.
Outside of Toad.
Outside of Toad. Best good guy character in the movie.
Yeah, so he and his company have been hired by the Nazis to do the dig site at Iskandaria.
It was something that kind of went over my head when I was watching the movie. But
which is why he's basically serving the Nazis throughout the movie.
He's not. He's just doing it as business.
Yep.
But for Indy, oh well, that's just for friendship.
Yep. So he tells them everything he knows, and he says they managed to find an amulet, and they used it in the map room, and we've been digging in that spot ever since. And Indy's confused. He's like, how the hell did they get an amulet? We have the amulet. And he's like, well, they just happen to have one. And Indy asks, did it have only one side to it? And John Rhys Davies is like, I believe so. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Who's the man in charge of this dig?
Hold up, let me pin that underneath the other pin.
Yeah. Now, who's the man in charge of this dig? He's a Frenchman. I believe his name is Beloche. And Indy starts fucking giggling like a schoolgirl. He's like, Belloc! Belloc! Great!
Yay! Just who I wanted to be involved with in this whole mess. This is perfect!
The cornucopia of bullshit's here. We get Nazis, ancient artifacts, and Belloc! Great! Oh! So Marion and Indy are out walking the streets. They're looking around. And managed to make a new friend. A monkey!
Monkey! I'm gonna call him Abu.
Abu? Shut up.
Wait, it's just a reference to Aladdin. Come on.
Shut up.
That's like the first monkey that came to my mind. So that's what we're going for.
Okay.
Why? Were you gonna call him Diddy?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna call him Diddy.
For the purposes
I was
of
gonna
this,
call him Monkey.
For the purposes of this video, the monkey's name is now Abu.
Fine. I'm gonna keep calling him Monkey.
And I'm gonna keep calling him Abu.
So
until I forget.
So as it turns out, the monkey is not their friend after all.
He plays at being their friend, but he is in fact a racist monkey because he's working for the Nazis.
And as we know, Nazis are racist.
Obviously.
Prove me otherwise.
I can't.
Yeah. Nazis are racist. Convince me otherwise.
Oh, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah. I don't even know what the original meme was.
I think it's white male privilege is a myth. Convince me otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Sure, bud. Sure.
Sure it is.
Okay, so as Indy and Marion are walking the street, the monkey basically tells them what's going on through his handler. And so Indy and Marion get mugged in the middle of the street by like a bunch of dudes.
And Marion has to, and they both have to run from the Nazis.
Or rather, the Nazi stooges.
The Nazi stooges. Indy and Marion are forced to
separate,
and
here comes
lovely chase scene.
And here comes like the best scene in the entire movie. Indy has just fought off like 5 dudes, and he's gonna go look for Marion. And the whole crowd that's gathered around, they disperse, they back up.
And this dude with a sword comes in swinging.
This fucking guy.
It's like he has come to show his mettle with the sword.
He's like 6'4", dressed in all black, and he's
swinging his sword around, all dramatic.
And Indy, who looks at him, who's like a good 10 feet from this guy, looks at him and he's like, I've had enough of this shit.
Pulls out his gun and shoots him. Dead.
Shoots him dead, and the guy's like, hey!
And he's just like, alright, back to business.
Back to business. So funny thing about that scene, that scene was not supposed to go that way.
No, they were supposed to be like an elaborate sword fight or something.
But, Harrison Ford had dysentery. He either had typhus or dysentery. And so he couldn't do anything without crapping himself. So
the writers had to go back to the drawing board. It's like, what can we have Indy do to end this?
I've got an idea. He does have a gun.
Perfect.
Perfect. He doesn't use it for the rest of the movie. Just this one scene. No joke. He doesn't use it for the rest of the movie.
I'm pretty sure there's like a brief shootout.
There's a few scenes where he uses it, but doesn't shoot people.
He shoots a guy in that forehead at the bar.
No, I mean after this.
Okay, after that.
After this, he doesn't really use it throughout the rest of the movie.
No, but It's a reminder that he has it.
He uses it for utilitarian purposes, not for manslaughter.
Right. Unless he has to.
Yeah. So yeah, this fucking guy.
One of the most famous scenes in the whole movie, next to
George Lucas and Steven Spielberg felt bad for doing that because they felt it was too dark of humor. They were like, we probably would have done that scene differently now. Although nowadays they're probably like, it's a great scene. It's iconic.
So it's one of the 3 most famous scenes from this movie. This, the boulder chase scene, and one that we'll eventually get to in a little while.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
But yeah, no, so Marion's still being chased by the Nazis, who are disguised as just regular passerbys.
Yep.
Or maybe they're even just working for
So Marion ends up getting kidnapped because she hides in a casket.
She hides in a basket. The monkey...
Yes.
And the monkey rats on her is like, over here, over here, over here.
So, yeah.
See, I already forgot to call him Boo.
Yeah, see? So Indy's now chasing a basket and walks into the marketplace where everybody's got a basket.
So he's knocking baskets over all over the place, and he's getting a lot of flack for it.
These locals are like, hey, what the fuck? These are my life savings! God damn!
I just did my laundry! You've made it all dirty!
I've just done groceries! Look at
all my vase full of Ming vases! My vase full of Ming vases! My basket full of Ming vases!
Your mane full of vases. God damn it, we're tired. Perfect time to do these episodes. See, we're already 51 minutes in, and we're almost at halftime. Yes?
So, we got 10 minutes before we reach halftime.
Yeah. Shut the fuck. No context!
Not gonna explain that.
You fucking asshole. I was hoping you wouldn't bring it up.
You gave me the perfect opportunity.
No!
And now the listeners are never going to know what that's all about. Let's move on.
I mean, it's not like... I guess so. That's one of her other in-jokes, just like your girlfriend. No context! Oh no, why'd I say that?
Anyway, baskets.
Baskets. Indy angry. Indy chase baskets.
But
Indy go to car. Car shoot him. Indy sad. Yeah, the Nazis try to shoot down Indy in the middle of the street, and he gets into a corner. And all the locals are like, pay me back for ruining my day. And he just tosses them some coins, and they're like, yay! And then he shoots the car, and the car explodes, and he thought Marion was inside, and he's like,
No!
I'll always be sad now. So he goes to a bar, gets flat out drunk.
Not quite. He's about to get drunk. But turns out there's somebody else there who wants to speak with him. His old friend Belloc!
Oh, hello, Indiana! Welcome back. Welcome to India. That's a shame. A shame about the girl. A real shame. But, you know, that's par for the course with you. Always failing to live up to expectations.
Stop making fun of my dick!
Ho ho! Ouch. But no, Indy and Belloc basically talk to each other. Belloc is like, you and I, the old fucking cliche speech, you and I are a lot alike. We're not so different, you and I. Look, you take this pocket watch. I buy it for $10 out on the street.
Buried in the sand 1,000 years to be worth a fortune.
Bury it in the sand, dig it up, and now it's worth a fortune. Men like you and me will kill for it. Literally kill for it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm nothing like ya. The closest thing to you is the fucking sewer, Belloc.
Indy attempts to reach for his gun after Belloc takes it a step too far, but everybody else pulls out their gun.
And then a bunch of kids show up.
And just sweep Indy away.
Indy!
And everybody in the bar just laughs it all.
Ah! Look at this pansy! Ah! Saved my children! Ah!
It worked.
We're assholes. Massive assholes. But yeah, and Indy lives to see another day. And I'm surprised the Nazis just don't, kill him right then and there. Because the Nazis know about him. They know he's Belloc's enemy.
Yeah, but they assume they have all the cards in their hand.
I suppose, yeah. I suppose they're just Indy's a minor nuisance. There's nothing he can do.
But like I said, they think they have all the cards. They think the deck is stacked in their favor. And now we get to the point where the tables get turned.
So Indy and Salah are followed
by the monkey.
Man.
And his handler.
Yep.
And while nobody's looking, the handler goes in and pours poison all over the dates.
Which entices the monkey, because the monkey don't know better.
So Indy and Salah are talking to each other. Indy grabs a date. They get to talking to the
look! Come here! Come here!
The guy translating the inscription on the medallion, which actually reveals that
the staff must be 6 kadam high, about 72 inches. Hold on. Flips the medallion,
which has more of an inscription,
and take back 1 kadam to honor the god.
It's at that point that Indy realizes the Nazis are digging in the wrong place.
Oh! So Salah and Indy are just visibly.
Indy tosses the date up and about to catch it in his mouth when Salah grabs it out of the air.
And he looks down and monkey dead. Salah sad. Bad dates.
What are you referencing with that?
I'm not referencing anything.
Sounds like you're referencing something.
Just very simple speech bubbles.
It's like you're imitating the Doge meme. Much sadness.
What? Bad dates. Much sadness. Salah sad.
It's like a storybook about the Hulk. Hulk sad.
Hulk mad. Hulk big.
Hulk smash. Hulk sad.
Hulk dead. Oh shit! I think we're too tired for this, man. For this bullshit.
See you next time. No.
Yeah.
No. So, Indy, Salah, and some of Salah's men, they make it to the dig site that the Nazis are at, and they sneak Indy down into the map room, which I was. Never mind.
Yes, go on.
It was just kind of a I want to call it a Deus Ex Machina, but that's not really the proper term. It's a convolution that they just... No, not convolution. Oh, God. Not coincidence. Contrivance that the map room that they need to find the dig site has already been uncovered off screen. Just randomly.
Well, they were just talking about it in the movie. That they had already been digging in the wrong spot, so therefore the map room had...
Right, but the discovery of the map room could have been its own thing, and they just find it off screen without any fanfare.
That's not really much... I wouldn't complain about that.
I'm not complaining too much. It's just I can't help but notice that discrepancy.
I mean, the scene is already amazing enough.
Oh, yes. Indy goes down into the map room.
Mind you, by the way, the sound design for the movie is fucking magnificent thanks to the great John Williams.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, what hasn't he excelled in when it comes to music?
Well,
yeah.
Okay, let's just like some of the movies he's done: Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, obviously. Yeah. Like Schindler's List, he also did that. He's done like almost every Jaws. I believe he did Jaws.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, he's
musical genius when it comes to
he's been in a lot of
orchestral
shit.
pieces.
Yeah,
iconic.
He's basically America's Ennio Morricone.
Whatever the hell that means.
Yes, whatever the hell that means.
Anyway, so Indy is down in the map room. He attaches the medallion to the top of the staff that he brought with him, which is the correct height, and he puts.
By the way, they need to get this done before 9:00.
No, it's at 9:00 that the light is at its
zenith.
Which
means they got to get this done before 9:00.
No, I think 9:00 is the point where they got to do it, and then they got to hoof it.
They've got to get in there
before 9:00,
okay. Which is what I'm saying.
Okay, I guess I was confused. So Indy gets in there. He finds the correct point to put the staff in, puts it up, and we just get this dramatic music as the light comes into the room and filters through the.
In my opinion, this is the iconic Raiders of the Lost Ark theme. Because it's very moody, very dark, very mysterious, and then it just swells up into this like grand bombastic theme of look at what Indy has found.
And the light comes through, it filters through the jewel and marks on the spot of the old lost city where the Ark was buried.
Meanwhile, during all of this, Salah's been detained for a bit.
Well, he's been having to distract the guards who have come to question him.
Yeah,
not about anything important.
What the hell are you doing near the map room?
Come on, get over.
Come here. You don't need to be going near that.
Salah does come back just
with a Nazi flag, which I just have to like. Where the fuck?
It's like it's a bedsheet rope, basically.
Yeah.
But with a Nazi flag on the end because he needed something.
Fuck the Nazis. As you can tell, we hate Nazis, not as you should.
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg hates Nazis,
as he should,
because I believe he is of Jewish descent.
Makes sense. I mean, the last name.
Yep. What?
Spielberg. It's a Jewish name. I'm pretty confident.
Let's not assume all last names are I mean, Goldberg is pretty Jewish.
Yeah.
Admittedly. Goldberg's like the most Jewish name you can think of. That's not meant to be disrespectful either. That's just
a statement of fact.
Like, when I think of stereotypical Jewish names, I think of Goldberg.
Just kind of funny considering that the wrestler just went by that name.
Yeah. It's even more funny.
He's awesome.
I keep saying this about Saudi blood money, but I find it hilarious. And this isn't me meant to be, like, racist or anything like that. Any sort of offensive. But I just find it ironic that a mostly Muslim country who hate Jews, by the way, their government hates Jews, would sign on for WWE to bring in one of the greatest Jewish wrestlers of all time to main event. Huh?
Was that the main event?
That was the main event.
Wow.
Taker versus Goldberg. Oh, it was so bad.
Oh, that one. I thought you were talking about the other one.
No.
Okay, never mind.
No. God, Taker Goldberg.
Anyway, getting back on topic.
Yes, getting back on topic because we're about an hour in.
Indy, Salah, and some of Salah's men kind of sneak off to go dig at the real dig site. And
during this, Indy has managed to find Marion.
Yes, he does, and she is held captive in
the
Lock's tent.
Indy smartly thinks, if I let her go, they'll be searching for us. You've got to stay here. And Marion doesn't take too kindly to that. She's like,
it's like she wants to be let go.
You son of a bitch. Yeah, while Indy and the men are digging, Belloc decides to have a nice, pleasant meal conversation.
He's trying to get in her pants, basically.
Yeah.
And severely underestimates her ability to drink. Like, I was half convinced that he was getting her drunk to try and get more information out of her.
No, he's just genuinely interested in her. I mean, I'm sure that's what he intended, but he seems more interested in her than anything.
But unfortunately, that's not going as well, as she is a pretty stern drunk. She's keeping pretty tight-lipped, mostly because she doesn't actually know anymore than what she's already revealed to the Nazis.
Yep.
But Todt thinks that there's some more information that they could get from her.
Dude, oh man, another great scene. So he comes in just as Marion is about to like make her escape, because she
secretly
she
had a fruit knife.
Yeah, she pulls out a fruit knife and points it at Belloc. Belloc is so
he sees it and it's just like.
Dude is so drunk he's not taking it seriously. He's like, oh, go ahead. Mary's about to make her run, and Todt's standing there, and same with his boss. I can't remember his fucking name.
I don't know. I can't remember either. I don't think his name really ever gets mentioned in the movie. And
no, it doesn't. Like, he's the main baddie.
Technically, and he's such a minor character in the movie. Like, the only reason you know that he's a significant villain is because he's on the poster, and that's it.
Pretty much.
Like, I'm pretty sure I'd remember it if we had recently played Lego Star Wars, or not Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones. Yeah. Because he's a playable character in that. Because everybody's a playable character in Lego games. Everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun game. Go play that game. Play it with a friend. It's a nice, good co-op fun game. Real fun. Me and Vampire Jekyll played that game all the way to completion years ago. Real fun. We got so good at it that it was raining money.
Well.
That was literally a cheat you could get in that game. Make it rain money.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm almost there. Hold on.
But yeah, no.
Dietrich is his name. Wolf Kaler is Dietrich is his name.
Okay. But yeah, Toad's thinking, okay, we're not getting any information out of her this way. I've got my own methods. And takes out this, what looks like a nunchuck.
Looks like a bar, really.
A chained bar. And he's pulling it out and tinkering at it. And we're thinking, oh shit, what is this thing?
And then a clothes hanger.
It's a coat hanger. Uses it to hang up his coat.
Oh man, this fucking guy is such a good character. Such a well-written character for such a bumbling idiot.
Oh, and yeah, this is also how we about the time that we learn how the Nazis got their hand on half of the medallion, because Todt does the
Nazi salute.
The Nazi salute, and we get a good look at his scarred hand.
Not the raised right hand up to the sky.
But like a more greeting salute.
Yes.
It's like
the hello.
And we get a good look at his scarred hand, which has half of the medallion embedded on it.
Yeah. So that's how they figured it out. Which is a very good way to explain how they managed to figure it out.
Yeah.
They basically handcrafted a medallion off his hand.
Yeah.
And so Todt starts interrogating.
But then we cut back to Indy and his dudes.
And then they finally uncovered the thing, and they're just about to open it up. And they open it up, and they're looking inside, and Sala's looking down at it. He's like, wait, should the floor be moving? And Indy takes this moment as, oh no.
Hand me the torch.
Hand me the torch.
Drops the torch down in snakes. Covered in snakes.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? The iconic line of iconic line. Why did it have to be... Just like the Harrison Ford, like, apathetic, I fucking hate my life sort of voice. Why did it have to be snakes?
Like, he delivers it so fantastically. Like, oh, really?
And then Solov says the best fucking line. Asps. Very dangerous. You go first, Indy. Oh, man.
So Indy gets lowered down into the temple.
Fucking Solov.
With some gasoline or kerosene or whatever. And like a spreader so that he can spray the gas.
Like a hose and shit.
Like a pesticide sprayer type deal. Probably a water pump or whatever.
Yeah.
Just so you can spread the kerosene. And yeah, everything is how it should be. They found and with Sala's help, they do manage to take the Ark out of its encasing, and they get it hoisted up, and Indy goes up last, and except he doesn't go up so much as he finds out that the whole place has been surrounded by the Nazis, who have because Belloc just so happened to look in one direction and saw all the digging that was going on over there.
So Belloc, Tote, and Dietrich are talking as they're walking through the dig site.
Because Marion has not revealed any more information because she doesn't have any more information.
Basically, Belloc's like, you have no right to interrogate my guests like that. And Totes doesn't give a shit, and Dietrich's like, we have to do whatever we can to find the Ark. And Belloc is like, well, if it wasn't for... Huh? Wait a minute. Dietrich, get your men! he like stares off for a second, and he's
like, what the heck is going on?
And he sees like because Indy and Sala had gotten the Ark. They found the Ark and they put it in a box, and they sent it up. And Belloc saw the box, and he's like, "Oh, get your man."
So Indy is down in the hole with the snakes. Nazis are surrounding the entrance. Sala's there. Dietrich decides, let's toss Marion in there.
Wait! You have no right to do that!
It's like, I'm a Nazi, bitch.
I'm a Nazi, you work for us. Which Belloc does say it's a necessary evil for his work, by the way. That he has to work with Nazis. Because back at the bar, Belloc very smartly puts it, do you know what the Ark is, Indy? It's a radio transmitter for speaking to God.
Yes, that is how he puts it.
Mm-hmm. So Belloc's kind of bummed out, and he's like,
"It's like, oh
"'Twas
man,
not to be,
I was
Shetty."
trying to tap that. Let's face it, that's what he's trying to do.
God damn it! So then they close it, and Sala's like, "Indy!" Oh. He's all sad and shit because they close the lid. So then comes another good scene where Indy tries to break off one of the giant giant stone statues. Break through the wall because there's holes in the wall that.
Yeah, because when I first saw the snakes, I commented, realistically, all those snakes should be dead. But then I also hand waved it away as an act of God, because the Ark of the Covenant. Right.
But no, this explains it better, because there's holes in the wall that the snakes keep coming in from.
So, Indy decides, I'm going to knock over a statue and knock down this wall.
Seems like
Which he does.
Seems like a good plan to me.
I can't find any faults with that plan, and there isn't any. He manages to knock down the wall, and
we get the most rated R scene in this entire movie. Mind you, this movie is PG. This movie is PG, which comes into question in this scene.
I wouldn't call this an R-rated scene. I'd call it a horror movie scene. As Marion...
Oh no, this is a straight hard R scene. Like this is I wouldn't show my kids this.
But yeah, Marion has an encounter with plenty of corpses. Just all of the corpses.
And the final corpse is the most gruesome out of them all, because it has like a giant fucking snake coming out of the mouth.
And they just all grab at her, and it's mostly going on in her head because they're just corpses. They're just laying there in the internment.
Yep.
Because they're mummies. And that's what mummies do. But her imagination... I love that it's somewhat fantastical how she's attacked. But realistically, she's just overreacting to seeing a bunch of dead bodies.
Yep. And then he's like, Marion, get over here. grabs her by the hand and just drags her out of there. And he's like, come here. Look at that. We have light. Deus Ex Machina.
Not necessarily.
Oh, it was an act of God, all right.
No, that's not a Deus Ex Machina, trust me.
You fucking whore, you shut your mouth.
Give me a moment, okay? We'll get to the Deus Ex Machina.
Okay, fine. Fine, I will concede that.
For anybody who knows how this movie ends, and for anybody else, spoilers for when we get there. So they managed to get out.
And they're at the heliport.
Yeah.
They somehow managed to make it to the heliport.
Well, the airport, really.
Heliport, airport, yeah.
The makeshift airport.
The landing strip.
There we go. That's what it's called.
So Indy...
The Nazis are getting ready to transport the Ark. Indy tries to hijack a plane, doesn't quite go well, and he ends up in a fist fight with this big Nazi dude.
Which Indy gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
Dude gets punched in the face once.
So many times.
Well,
Indy gets punched so many times.
Indy gets the first shot in, but it doesn't do anything to the guy, and the guy just punches him once. And already Indy has a fat lip, and he's already on, like, wobbly legs.
Marion tries to help out by hijacking the plane and gets stuck in the cockpit.
While shooting a bunch of Nazis, by the way. She fucking kills a bunch of people.
And then the fuel pump, gets damaged and starts leaking fuel all over.
And then a fire starts.
And that's slowly encroaching upon the fuel in the plane.
By the way, the big guy, he gets killed by a rotary blade.
Yeah.
Indy covers up.
Propeller blade.
Yeah, propeller blade. Indy covers up, and the guy's like, what the fuck? Ah!
We don't actually see it outside of the blood splatter.
But, like, the final 2 seconds of his life, it's like, oh, God!
Mein Leben!
Mein Leben! No, not poor Nazis. They just totally deserve it.
I'm pretty confident that character has a name, because he's a boss fight in the Lego game.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have known. But yeah, so then so Marion and Indy make their escape, and the plane explodes, and that wakes up everybody, including Dietrich, who was like napping like this, like his arms on the table, like his legs on the table, his ass on the chair, and he's just like
getting all sunstroke.
Yeah.
Seriously, dude. Do you want sunstroke? Because that's how you get sunstroke.
Yeah, totally. While listening to some music, by the way, God, what a boring time in life. When all you had was music and books. Jesus, God. Oh my God, I don't know how anybody could live back then, but they did.
That's how we exist.
Yeah.
Think about it before then, though. Before music and books.
Back then we had sports.
Yeah. The sports of not getting killed by the fucking cougars.
Yeah. gladiatorial games.
Or the Smilodons. Pretty sure books technically
Or
exist.
the games where if you lose, you get sacrificed to the gods. That was my favorite.
Oh, classic Blurns Ball.
Fucking Blurns Ball, excuse me?
Pretty sure that's something else.
Blurns Ball is baseball in the future of the year 3000.
Oh, I guess I went too far back, huh?
Yeah, too far back. You went so far back, you went ahead.
No, I'm pretty sure Blurred Ball is from something.
Futurama.
Okay. Okay. That's how I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, they're like, well, fuck the plane, use the car.
So they try transporting the Ark via truck, and Indy hijacks that and gets into a fight.
the best car chase probably in the entire.
It is a fantastic car chase.
Probably in the entire series, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's really iconic. Indy, oh man, Indy fucking destroys a lot of people. He manages to make a car veer off a cliff.
Yeah.
Holy shit, those guys went fucking flying.
Gets shot at. He ends up fighting with a dude who de-hijacks the truck, only for Indy to hijack it back.
Yep.
After climbing his way underneath the truck.
And then climbing back up.
It's like, oh, it's so great. Some great stunt work in these.
Basically, long story short is he stole the Ark back.
And then he reunites with Marion after ditching the Nazis. They book a.
By the way, Sala knows they're alive now.
Yeah.
So Sala books them like a charter ship
To sail them across the ocean back to America.
Yep. And
Things go pretty well.
Things go pretty well for the most part. Indy and Marion get a good, nice love scene, except the part where Indy gets hit by the mirror in the fucking jaw.
And screams so loud you can hear it from outside. And the Marion's like, did you say something?
Oh, man.
Did you say something?
You say something? Fucking Marion. She's the best girl in the entire series.
And then Indy falls asleep while Marion's kissing him. It's like, oh, this guy. I can't be too mad considering everything that's happened, though.
Yep.
I'd be exhausted, too. I am exhausted.
Let's go to sleep. And then they cut to the next morning and the ship's about to be boarded.
But because a U-boat.
The captain's like, alright, we don't have much time. Indy, we got a hiding spot for you. I don't know about the chick.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. The captain attempts to convince them to not search for Indy by claiming that he killed Indy and was taking Marion for himself. And she kind of goes with it, because...
What? That's their only chance. But Dietrich, who's back, is just like, fucking savage. Says the racist Nazi.
They thought they were so much better than everybody else, but really they were worse.
Much worse. Sorry, Nazis.
Kind of like all races, don't you think?
Yeah.
They think that all other races are the worst, when really they're the worst.
I mean, white people are pretty terrible.
We are, yes.
Yeah, for reference, we're Caucasian.
Yep.
It's not like we're trying to hide it.
Like, if anybody has seen any of my actual videos would know that, but...
But, yeah, so they take Marion and they take the Ark. Meanwhile, by the way, overnight, the Nazi symbol on the Ark's box...
That's burned off.
Burned off and all the mice are dead.
Yeah.
That's...
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
So Indy sneaks onto the sub.
Yeah.
Indy, hot hit. So what? Like, this scene is amazing, by the way. And
I'm pretty sure this is where I caught the movie when I first watched any of the movie.
Okay.
Other than the iconic scenes.
This scene is fucking wild. by the way, because it just doesn't seem humanly possible to me. So Indy hitches a ride on the top of the sub as the sub's going underwater, and it just stays barely below water, enough for him to basically ride it. And I'm just like, after a while, you'd have to fucking get tired.
They get to a dry dock. Indy knocks out a Nazi.
I'm trying to think of what island it is. It's like one of the islands near Greece. It's one of the Stygian Isles.
Yeah. Indy knocks out a Nazi, tries putting on his uniform,
and another Nazi.
It doesn't fit. The uniform he picked did not fit, and another Nazi shows up. It's like, what? Complaining about his unkempt look. Come on. Then he just like knocks him out and takes his uniform instead.
Belloc runs into him, but doesn't realize it's him.
In fact, I'm pretty confident Indy intentionally bumps into him as an intentional jab, and Belloc doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
Because they think Indy's dead, killed by that captain.
Right.
Who just so happened to be black. We didn't mention it because it wasn't important.
Exactly. Wasn't important. Didn't need to be brought up.
But yeah. And they do make it onto the island, and Indy manages to get a hold of a rocket launcher, takes the high ground, and actually threatens to blow up the Ark.
He's got a rocket launcher.
He's got a rocket launcher.
Hello, Jones. I
got a rocket launcher. I'm gonna blow up the Ark if you don't give me Marion. Heck, I might even blow up the Ark anyway.
And Belloc's like, okay, everybody back off. Back off. All right, Indy. Do it. Blow it up. Blow it back to God.
Fuck. He called my bluff.
Shit.
And Belloc actually goes on like a mini speech about how they're the same and how there's no way that he'd let such a precious artifact just get destroyed.
Basically what Belloc says is, we're passing through history. And Indy, this is history. So do with it what you will. Blow it up or don't. I don't care. Calling his bluff.
Yeah. It's like, fuck. So, now, Marion and Indy have been captured and tied to a post as the Nazis all get ready to open up the Ark to make sure that it's really in there and not, just...
By the way, they've got cameras and everything set up.
Dietrich just wanted to take it to Hitler right away, but Belloc's like, how can you be sure that what's in there is actually in there? We gotta check first.
Yeah,
Like, you wouldn't want to go to the Fuhrer and for him to find it that there's nothing there. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Dietrich's also like, do we really have to do this Jewish ceremony? Because they have to do, like, a Jewish ceremony to get it open. And then they open it, and there's nothing inside.
Sand! Nothing but sand.
Which leads Arnold Tote to just start cackling like an asshole. Just, nothing in there. You fucking losers. Because he doesn't give a shit either.
Then the machinery starts acting up.
Oh, what the fuck is that?
And Indy goes to Marion and it's like, close your eyes, and whatever happens, do not open them up. And shit starts happening.
So the reason Indy starts doing that is, in the Bible, when the Ark is opened, one is not supposed to look into the Ark. Out of respect for God.
And these three fuckers are staring directly into it and reaching their hand in.
Yep. They're basically disrespecting God, which
in the worst way.
And some spirits start showing up, and they look beautiful. They're beautiful, angelic.
Until they're not, and they're just absolutely horrifying.
They're beautiful. Dun, 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 dun.
Dietrich's head shrivels up.
Yeah.
Toad's face melts.
Everybody's murdered. Yeah.
Belloc's head explodes.
Out of all the deaths, I think Totes might have it the worst.
Yeah.
Because he's still screaming as his face is being melted off. And the way they did it, the way they did it, they basically had a wax figure of his face. They molded his face and put several layers of, like if they did a cast basically of his skull, I think it's iron or metal. It was made of a tough material, and then they built his face around it out of wax and shit. And then they put a hair dryer to it. And they did it for hours and hours.
Oh God.
And hours.
For a split-second sequence, too.
For a split-second sequence.
Less like a couple seconds.
But it is, in my opinion, it's the most iconic thing in the movie.
I have to agree.
Just like, dude, his fucking face is, and I don't care what people have to say, it still looks good today.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, nowadays you could, oh, well, that's just like a wax figurine that they're making.
But it's still fucking gorgeous. The effects done in this sequence are fantastic.
Dietrich's death is pretty, like, Dietrich's is my second favorite. The thing about Belloc, so, the reason this wasn't a rated R movie is because of Belloc's head.
Yeah?
Yeah, so, during the initial sequencing of this scene, the MPAA was like, no, that exploding head, that has to go, otherwise we're gonna give it an R.
What if we put fire right in front of it?
Alright, we'll give you a pass, so we'll give it a pass and it'll be PG. They had no problems with a shrinking head, a melting face. They had problems with the exploding fucking head.
So yeah, now all the Nazis are dead.
And Belloc.
All the Nazis and Belloc, I was kind of counting him with them because he was working with them because he's a fucking Nazi now. That's a transitive property.
The whole thing with Belloc is he basically betrayed his home nation of France to work with the Nazis.
Also, I should mention that this whole scene is the literal definition of a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, God from the machine.
And it starts with the machinery failing.
And so...
Invocation!
So Indy and Marion are like screaming and they're, oh God, and they still have their eyes closed. And they come out totally unharmed in all of this.
And somehow untied as well. Just kind of happens.
God looked favorably upon them.
It's like, yeah, you guys are fine. You can go.
You guys aren't looking. Watch me do my magic. Rope's gone. How you like that? I'm God, baby. I can do whatever.
Thank you, Chris Angel. Fuck!
Shit!
Took credit for my work again!
Fuck that guy. But yeah, that's
that scene.
Yeah.
Cut back to America.
By the way, all the bodies are missing.
Yeah.
After all this, and the lid's back on the Ark.
And then, anyway, back in America, Indy and Marcus are talking with the government guys again.
We've got top officials. We've got top men looking at it.
Where are you taking it?
We've got top men looking into it. Where do you have it? We have top men looking into it.
Top men.
Top men.
We then cut to a warehouse where...
after that, Indy is walking down the steps. He's like, those fucking idiots, they don't know what they have on their hands. Well, and Marion's like, well, I know what I have on mine.
Cut to a warehouse where a box is being stored somewhere.
With the music.
With a bunch of other boxes. And then credits.
Yep, that's the movie. That's Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm going to give that a 9.5 out of 10. That's almost
I'm going to give that a 9. That was a great movie.
It's a very good movie.
It's like it has such iconic scenes that even before I actually watched the entirety of the movie, I remember these scenes. Mm-hmm. They are that iconic. They have been parodied to death back in the day.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what else can we say? It's Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that music. That music!
10 out of 10 music, 9.5 out of 10 movie. Movie's fucking amazing.
Like, anything from John Williams gets a 10. Easy.
Yeah, man. Harrison Ford was great in this movie, and I think John Rhys Davies stole the show, though. In, like, the limited amount of screen time that he had, he was great. And of course,
This is a 2-hour movie, but much like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, it goes by at a very brisk pace, so you never feel like anything's lingering longer than it needs to, unless that's the point.
Yeah. I mean,
you're just like, and that's the point. Awkward silence. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. And there's not really much.
It's just more the awkward silence before. That's all.
Sorry, I was trying to process.
Oh, sorry, I was ignoring you.
Yeah, that's what it was. Oh man, well that was another great movie done. What are we doing next time?
I don't know, brother. Why don't you tell me about it?
Oh my god.
Oh, that was so forced. We're doing another Scooby-Doo movie. It's Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers.
The best one of the original three.
Arguably.
Actually, no, that's a lie. I think the next.
But we'll find out eventually.
Yeah. What the fuck was that?
I don't know, but
that was a pose.
That was a pose. But
you got any recommendations this week?
I'm gonna recommend SSSS Gridman.
Right.
An anime by Studio Trigger with work from Subaraya Productions. This series is based on the 90s tokusatsu show Electron's Superhuman Gridman, also known as Gridman the Hyper Agent, which is actually available on streaming services, so check that one out. That was pretty good. But as well as the US adaptation of that, Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. 4S, yeah. And it is a great fusion of anime and tokusatsu, in so much that the monsters in the show feel like they could be made from actual suits and performed by actors in said suits, but the entire thing is anime. And the premise is that one day this boy wakes up in a room that he's not familiar with, and he has no memory of who he is or how he got there. But the show doesn't linger too much on the fact that he has amnesia, because other characters around him do know who he is. They just don't know why he suddenly has amnesia. Like, there are characters that fill in the gaps for him, so the plot doesn't focus so much on his amnesia, but more so on the fact that he can somehow communicate with some entity in a computer called Gridman and see giant monsters. And oh, it is such a fantastic series that goes to some very dark but thought-provoking places. And Tanner has left. Apparently, he just does not want to hear anything about it.
I've watched a few episodes of it with him, so I know what he's talking about. I just want to let him rant.
That's about all I'll say, because this show has some great action, some great character moments, some good mystery. He's just making faces across the table. I don't know.
I'd like to suggest I'd like to suggest Crusader Kings 2 or how to have sex with the Pope and your entire family simulator.
You've done a few videos over that on your channel.
And they're slow as shit because I don't have a good computer. But yeah, Crusader Kings 2 is a Crusader Kings 2 is a video game by Paradox Interactive taking place in medieval Europe, approximately 769 to 1457 AD. Between the fall of the Roman Empire and the discovery of the New World.
From the gameplay that I've seen on his channel, it's not too frilly. It's just really kind of like a God simulator, God game, just without being able to see anything that's actually going on. And a lot of the excitement and fun comes from just the random stuff that ends up happening.
Okay, yeah, so you control a dynasty of characters, a bloodline of a family, and you,
your goal is to conquer Europe and not die off.
Basically. Well, that's putting it too simplistic. The goal is to consolidate your holdings and spread your bloodline, and don't have your bloodline kill you in return. Like they tend to do.
Crazy shit happens. Seriously,
like your legitimized bastard brother who happens to be an inbred asshole. An inbred homosexual who also is your lover.
Seriously, go check out the videos from this on his friend. Not those early videos. Those are barely audible. Skip those and go with his second playthrough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those are way better. You can actually hear them.
Yeah.
Well,
my first attempt wasn't that good.
Yeah. Well, you were learning.
The greatest thing that has ever happened in that game was I had a pope. You know him. I had a pope who was blind, had no eyes. Like the character portrait had no eyes, but nothing to cover up his eyes. He was just had holes where his eyes should have been. He was one-legged, and I believe he was also one-armed. Oh my god, that was the greatest pope I had ever seen. I was like, I want to know the life of that pope and how he got there. Did he have leprosy and suddenly heal from it because he took out his eyes or something? God damn. Or was he this warrior priest?
So many unanswered questions for such a mysterious and side character.
Yeah. Who also happens to be the leader of my religion. And depending on the DLC you get, the downloadable content that you buy, you can also play as characters of the Muslim faith, the Jewish faith. You can play as a Viking if you want to. Hell, get one of Raja's or India's or Jade Dragon, and you can play as the Eastern Indian characters for India. Like Buddhists and Taoists and whatnot. So yeah, it's a lot of good fun. Lots of good fun. Just don't let your genius son die, and you have to have your inbred dull idiot homosexual son as your heir.
I'm gonna bring this episode to a close. This has been ProtoBall Talk Podcast. I'm ProtoMet.
Not saying there's anything wrong with being gay.
I'm ProtoMet, and I have a text.
In the context of the game, though, it's pretty wild.
Who are you again?
I don't know. I'm my recycled balls, I think.
See ya.